Hello and welcome to a casual look at, or perhaps a casual retrospective of Doom 3 BFG edition. Now this is a second edition of Doom 3 that came out after the first one, of course, being the first Doom 3. This one came out around 2012, I believe, while the Doom 3 first one came out about 2004, I believe, something like that. Now the BFG edition does have a few changes when compared to the first one, but it isn't anything significant. A few of the changes is things such as, well, updated rendering, for example. It looks slightly better. Okay, cool. It has checkpoints, so autosave for that. For the main story, of course. And then it has, for example, a shoulder-mounted flashlight as well, which means you can wield a weapon while using your flashlight. So there's a few differences, but it's not a major diversion from the first one, or the original release. So, why did I choose to have a look at this one now? Well, it seems that id Software have reconfigured their storefront and their listings a tad, and just kind of moved around a bit their different titles on the store. And while doing that, they also decided that they would give all the original owners of Doom 3 the BFG edition for free, essentially. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's basically why I thought, hey, why not? It might be a good time to have a look at this game, because I felt like it pretty much was a while ago I played it. So I thought it'd be fun. It's a bit of a retrospective nostalgia trip, I suppose. So, it's of course developed by id Software, as you might expect. And I believe it was published by Bethesda, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I believe so. Well, without further ado, I am going to have a quick look at the settings and option menu, and then I'm just going to jump into the game and show you what it's all about, if you don't know already. And if you do all know already, then I suppose we're gonna have a little bit of a nostalgia blast together instead. So, to the option menu. Now, the controls are fine. Fully rebindable, nothing to complain about there. It has controller support, you can configure your mouse sensitivity, nothing to really complain about there. Game options are reasonable as well. You can enable or disable autosave, so the checkpoints, I believe, is just if you want them or not. Disable aim assist is amazing. It's disabled by default. We don't like it. Auto switch, auto reload. This is very nice, actually, I have to say. And I believe that if you know how to, or if you can remember to reload yourself, I would suggest turning this off, because you can't really cancel your reloads in any good way. Which, well, essentially means that if you empty your magazine and start to reload, that might be somewhat disadvantageous if you want to shoot something. So instead it's perhaps better to just say, oh, I am out of bullets, well, I'm gonna switch to another weapon, instead of starting to automatically reload. That's what I feel at any rate. Always run is on off if you want to. And an FOV slider, by the way. Good, thank you. Now, the system section, this is the graphics options menu. This is terrible. This option menu is frankly disgraceful. This is a full release, obviously. You know, this is a professionally developed product. This option menu is much sparser and worse than many just indie games that I've seen, frankly. It is really, really just not particularly impressive at all. It does have anti-aliasing, great. Motion blur on off, or in fact it goes with the scaling. I don't know why, it's very odd. you can turn it off, but then it's like how much you want, I guess. I don't know what it says 4 times or 8 times motion blur. What the hell does it mean? Okay. What? Whatever. You might as well just call it high or low. What does 8 times motion blur means? I don't know. It's freaking weird. Anyway, texture, LOD, bias, brightness, volume controls. The volume controls do not have separate sliders, so if you, for example, don't have an easy time hearing the dialogue, well, sucks to you, because you can't change it. Yeah, it's not great. Vertical sync on or off, if you would so desire. I'm actually going to disable that, I believe. But yeah, this is a very, very bad option menu. You know, like, it doesn't have separate options for, say, texture, shadows, lighting, effects, and so on, whatever, you know, just a little bit more customizability would be nice there. So, 3D options. Yes, it has 3D support. Oh dear. Yes. Okay. I do not use this. I don't have the required peripherals. Yes. I don't have any glasses or anything like that. But it's nice. It's pretty cool that it exists, I suppose, for those who have the option to use that and actually have what you need for whatever version they had. There, they obviously had a few different ones, you would see. So that's kind of cool that they have 3D options to begin with. This is an old game. It was of course added later on, I would assume, for the BFG edition. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That about does it. Not impressed by that settings menu, but you know, it is what it is. I guess it's an older release as well. So maybe you could cut them some slack by the fact that it's a game that initially released in 2004, but I honestly don't care. You should have more of that anyways. You should just put it in when you released it again. I mean, this is the second release. This is the 2012 release. Why do you not have it now? You know, add it later if you didn't have it initially. It's just, I'm not fond of that. Multiplayer exists, but unless you have someone to play with, you're probably not gonna have an easy time finding games. I didn't find any at all, in fact. So yeah, there you go. Multiplayer does technically exist, of course, so that's nice, but it's pretty much dead at this point. So what you get is the campaign, which I am going to jump right back into at this point. I've gotten a little bit into the game so that I can showcase a few of the different weapons. So I think without further ado, that about does it. So let's see what Doom 3 BFG edition has to offer. Oh, someone's run away over that. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to Doom 3 BFG edition, specifically. Oh. So I would assume most people already know what Doom is. Probably. And Doom 3 is, of course, much like its predecessors, a first-person shooter. But it's quite different. Because Doom 3 is more of a, what you might call a survival horror game, as opposed to a action shooter. Action FPS. Which I would suggest the first 2 Doom games pretty much were. At least that's my opinion. Some people... Would you call the first Doom game a horror game? I really don't think so. Or thriller games. Those doesn't exist, do they? No, I don't think they do. Anyway. Either way. Oh, you're climbing under a ceiling, aren't you? When compared to the previous two entries of Doom, this one is much more focused on the survival horror aspect as opposed to the badass shooting everything with giant guns aspect. Although you do have quite a few crazy guns in this one as well, of course. But it has a little bit more of this, well, for example, as you see, flickering lights and crazy, weird sounds. Yeah. So it's a very different game in a sense. And I think that's something that's somewhat interesting, because when this came out, this game came out, Doom 3, the first initial release in 2004, it wasn't particularly well received. A lot of people had reservations when it came to this game. And I think one of the biggest problems with this game specifically is that it is a Doom game. Because it isn't. Not really. It doesn't in any way really feel like Doom. The closest comparison I could probably make when it comes to Doom 3 is that it feels a little bit like a first-person Dead Space. That's probably the most apt comparison I can come up with. Like, things like this, for example. This is not something that was ever a thing in Doom 1 or 2. Okay, here we go. Yes. If you're curious as to why I'm doing this, it's basically because I have to remove these things in order to be able to progress. Yes. Oh, no, that's apparently not quite right. Isn't this exciting? Come on. Close it. Thank you. Bring it the heck away from this place, come on. I think it's over it now, yes? Good. This is not particularly exciting, is it? 50%, dear lord. Yeah, this is not particularly exciting. But anyways. I think that's good enough. Close. So this game has a much bigger focus on story, narrative. And immersion, I suppose. Okay, hello. The freaking Jesus. Also, they have a tendency to spawn enemies behind you now and then. That's just great. They do have a tendency of doing that quite often. Not only soldiers, but
waste disposal area now safe for entry.
They do that with their demons and stuff as well.
Gotta pick up the pace. Got more men down. Bravo's team is barely holding their own.
Nothing special there. Okay, fair enough. Health station. You get some help from those, of course. Okay. So, I wonder where I find the bloody... There we go. I guess that's the key that goes to the thingamajig. Cool. Hi. That worked well. Nope. strafing is much less of a consideration in this game as well. So the shooting is different. So like that. So am I supposed to progress here later? I probably am. Let's pick that up, I guess. By the way, just as a side note, if you look at my weapons right now, or just my arsenal here, this is something you're going to see for a lot of the game. All my ammunition is essentially maxed out. The max ammunition capacity for the shotgun shells is 320. I have 314. The maximum ammunition capacity for this assault rifle is 600. I have 484. The max for this one, I believe, is 360. I have 350. Yeah. Essentially, you are not going to have any problems whatsoever with ammo conservation. This becomes a little bit of a problem considering what I just mentioned this game was focused on. The horror aspect of the game is significantly decreased by the fact that, oh thanks, by the fact that you don't ever have to worry about ammunition, ever. Ammo conservation is not something I ever think about. Because you just have an exorbitant amount of ammunition. That's not a problem, ever. What's the number for this? 047. Do I have anything about this? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
This is Operations Coordinator Mark Lamia.
Didn't find a PDA.
November 1st, 2145. I'm filing this report because I'm frustrated beyond belief by the level of incompetency I have to deal with here. I don't know where HR is getting the new employees, but the last 5 guys they've sent me were all a bunch of idiots. They can't get any of their work done on time.
So it's kind of nice you can listen to these logs while you walk around. You don't have to stay in the menu, which is very nice.
Procedures, and they can't even remember basic things that I tell
Much like you can in
For example,
Bioshock.
I changed the cabinet door codes here to 1, 2, 3 because I thought that was easy enough to remember, but they still forgot. I don't understand why HR can't get me better people.
1, 2, 3.
Requesting full
There you go.
authority to hire and fire my own employees.
Wonderful.
The only way I can run my department smoothly. End of log.
Hello, 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 hi. Yes. Cool. So when it comes to the shooting in this game, I am not entirely happy with it. I don't hate it. Doesn't feel bad per se, but it does feel just a little bit meek, frankly. It does not. Oh, hi. Thank you for being behind me. It's so fun when creatures spawn behind you. That's so exciting. Yes. Backtracking is a bit of a thing in this game. The game has linear levels. They are much more linear and structured than the first 2 Doom games. So Doom 1 and 2. They are less maze-like. But they're still not linear to the degree where you like close off where you've been previously and stuff. So you can easily backtrack. That's not a problem. It's a linear experience for sure. It is a corridor shooter for the most part. A semi-linear corridor shooter, but it does allow for things such as backtracking, for example. Which is, that's nice. Reloading. Okay. Hi. Cool. Again, it can sometimes be quicker to switch between to another weapon, or between weapons, as opposed to trying to reload. Oh, that's armor charge, so that's nice. That's another thing that's very odd about this game. This health system is very strange. Let's talk about that before we take the weapons, I guess. So the health system in this game works rather oddly in that the armor would seem to reduce the amount of damage you take, but very, very mildly reduce the damage to the degree where you will very, very often be extremely low on health and very often die because you don't have enough health, while still having, about 90 plus armor. Which is just incredibly strange. In fact, I never basically run out of armor. That's not a problem. Which is just very strange. I don't know why that's the case. Or why they decided that that was how they were gonna design it. But yeah, it's just very odd. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned. Because you never run out of ammo. Ammo? Well, no, not that either. But that's another consideration that I just talked about. That's something I already mentioned. But you never run out of armor, basically. I've never run out of armor. It's almost consistently at full. Or close to it, right? Right now I have 113. What? Meanwhile, my health is barely above half. Hello. There we go. So yeah, that's just a very odd one. So most of the time, I barely even need the armor pickups. That's scattered all over the place. The helpful ones though, yep, those I very often need. Those are quite useful. Hello. Oh, I forget to reload. I'm just silly. Well, you know what? I am distracted, so you know what? That's fine. Okay. Hello? Anything? No? Okay. There we go. That's kind of nice. They have the idea of interacting with the screens in the game without going into a separate menu thing for those, which is kind of nice. Some newer games do that as well. Prey, for example, has the same idea. I know. So yeah, it's kind of nice. There's a few games that's done that. I am dumb. I don't reload. Why do I not do that? Okay. But yeah, so I'm not particularly fond of the health system. That's a bit of a problem for the game as well. Now. Health. Nice. Now. Hello. Demons. Yes. The game still has this kind of old school idea of most things having projectiles though. No? That's not good. Or well, most demons have projectiles at least. The soldiers actually don't, they have hit scan, just as you do. Or more or less hit scan at least. So you will not have an easy time dodging those. Indeed, strafing in general is, of course, as I said, less of a consideration in this one than it was in the previous ones. So, yeah, good. Can I? There's nothing here. The game has a few secrets, of course, much like the previous ones, but they are Don't seem to find any right now. Actually have to... yeah, no, I don't have to, but I should probably backtrack actually. And refill my health. Because I believe this one had quite a bit of health, right? Yeah. There we go. Probably worthwhile. Again, my armor, 107. My health, it went down to 20. It's just... okay. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's weird. I don't really know why they have that system for health. It's kind of odd. Now the weapons themselves does feel somewhat meek sometimes. Some of the game weapons sound... whoa. Hello, are you dying? Thank you. At least they telegraph where they will randomly spawn in, but I am not super fond of the spawning in this game. They can very much spawn behind you. I guess that's an idea of, well, it adds tension. You don't know when you're gonna get attacked. It's like, well, true, but it's also incredibly bloody annoying and obnoxious that you don't know where things will come from. There you go, full armor again. Not a problem. Suddenly I'm maxed out. Okay. Those aren't too dangerous, really. That's fine. They look scarier than they really are. As you see, the second guy there just went down to 2 shells, while the other one took 4. It's a bit odd there, right, isn't it? It's not actually. And this comes on to the weapons. So let's actually try to get through that little tangent here, shall we? So the weapons aren't great and they do feel somewhat meek, I have to say. It's a combination of both just how they act and feel, shooting, the recoil and that kind of stuff, as well as the kind of sound design of them, which isn't particularly impactful. Yeah, they just feel a bit flimsy, frankly. They also kind of look like toys, but that's just a result of the graphic style in general, I guess, which we can talk a little about later. How am I supposed to progress now? Oh, yes, there we are. Hello, thank you for that. Very helpful. Yes. Additionally, I hate this shotgun. Yeah. I absolutely despise this shotgun. Why? It has a absolutely horrendous spread. Let me demonstrate. What? Yeah? Okay. So those I can understand. Then I have 2 up here and 1 down there. The spread is horrendous. Try again. Yeah, what the heck is that? Do you see the insane spread on this thing? That is why it's, for one of those animal dog things, took 2 shots, and the other one took 4. Because it's completely utterly unreliable in every single way. You have no idea how many of the bullets will hit when you use a shotgun, because it has such an incredibly large spread. It's absolutely horrendous. It doesn't work with any range. I hate it. It is really, really boring. Or rather, it's just unsatisfying to use. It's so unreliable. You can't rely on it to in any way hit what you aim at. It's just bloody frustrating, honestly. So I'm really not a fan of the shotgun in this game. I really don't like it, which is a bit of a shame, because in both Doom 2 as well as Doom 1, I found the shotgun to be rather satisfying, honestly. I think those have pretty good shotguns. But they are also much better when it comes to spread, as well as when it comes to range. I don't seem to have the code for this thing yet. Do I? That doesn't work at least. Yeah. No. Doesn't seem like it. Unless this one had it. This one had a code, but yeah, it's 039. Which this one is not. Maybe it's the same code. 1, 2, 3. It is actually. Right, because he was talking about the fact that people were incompetent and couldn't remember the codes. So he just reset everything to 1, 2, 3. Makes sense. Next lab. Cool. Let's move on. So yeah, the shotgun is terrible. The rest of the guns are fine. This one is probably the most satisfying so far. The machine gun. Oh yay. That's armor, by the way. Armor shards. I don't need any of them because I am full of armor. Full on armor. That said, I'm full on health as well, so I suppose that makes sense. I'm just stacked out in general. And again, all my weapons... Well, not all my weapons actually. Most of my weapons are completely maxed out on ammunition as well. So there you go. Okay.
Hey you!
Hello.
Can you help me? I'm trapped in here. Release the door locks and get me out.
Open chamber.
Thank you.
By the way, just as a side note, you could totally just murder him by activating the chamber as well. I remember that from my previous playthroughs of this game. This is kind of cool. But you can. Yes. That's nice. But now I get to
Thanks for getting me out of there.
speak with him.
Got trapped in the chamber when the power went out. I don't know what's going on here. I don't understand why none of the systems are responding. I'm going to try to get an uplink into the main system from here.
There you go.
This is a secure terminal. I might be able to get a connection.
I think this is the thing though. Let's see.
I'm going to stay here. I can lock the door after you leave. I think I'll be safe.
How do I access these things? Wouldn't that be a nice thing to be able to do? There doesn't seem to be any lock here. Here we are. Nice. Not that it matters too much, because most of my weapons are already full anyways. As you see, this is almost full as well. It's 596, so I can pick up 4 more bullets for that one. This one is completely full. This one is 10 from full or something. So yeah. And my grenades are full as well, actually. So yeah. Ammo belts. I'm gonna show you how this one works. Oh, this was a bad idea. It takes a little while to wind it up, which is why it's not necessarily the best one to take that. But there you go. As you hear, this isn't like very impactful either, you know, like just comparing the sound effects in this game or this to something like the shotgun sound in, say, Metro. It's just pathetic as far as I'm concerned. You know, it is a different game, it has a different style, different art style, different setting and so on and so forth. Yes, I do know that, I get that. But at the same time, I'm not too fond of them. They do sound just a little bit meek a lot of the time, I find. And also, unreliable shotgun makes me angry. Okay, okay. There's a lot of taking cover in this game. Much more so than it is in the other Doom games. Again, basically the difference is that in this game you will be taking cover behind objects, as opposed to the previous game where you will just be strafing instead. And here's the kind of horror. Oh, hi. Cool. Is that it? Okay, okay. Thank you. Oh, hi. Look at that. That fancy. I got some adrenaline. Okay.
Race schematics show all passages out of your area blocked. The only way through is by traversing the EFR, a mechanical subsystem with 2 possible routes. Activating the system will get you a direct route, but it's dangerous. Extending the service bridges is safer, but the lighting systems are fried.
So I can't get in here. That's a shame. Oh. Hello? Nope, nothing. Okay, okay. Extend the bridge. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. So, if you shove the barrel basically in the eye of the enemy, then that actually is going to work. So, you know, that's always good to know. Oh, right, I'm full on ammo. I forgot. Ah, well. Okay. Otherwise. Yeah. Okie dokie, hello. Thank you. So I think one of the major problems or issues I have with the game is that while it does have much more of the horror survival element, it still kinda doesn't really play into it, because it doesn't have any of the other aspects that usually, in my opinion at least, improves, and to some degree almost are in... Oh. You see that? That's why I hate the shotgun. It's terrible. I am playing on the second highest difficulty, by the way, because the highest difficulty is reserved for people who've already beaten the game once. And I haven't beaten the game on this computer yet, so I couldn't actually pick that one. So I'm just going to showcase the only one I have an access to. Well, the hardest one I have access to. The hardest one I have access to. Not the only one, of course, there's difficulties below this, but yes. Oh. I'm done. I'm doing really poorly right now. But I guess that's because I'm frustrated, because my shotgun sucks. Okay. I am going to blame the shotgun for everything. Okay. How is this not killing it? I mean, Jesus! You're seeing that, right? It's just bloody obnoxious. Dear Lord. I hate it. It's just... At the same time, you should use the shotgun to some degree, because, you know, you get a bunch of ammo for it, and... Well, if you don't use it, you're just gonna waste ammo by... not picking up ammo. So, yeah. So... It's a bit annoying. Yeah. Okay. Apologies. It seems like I lost my train of thought there by dying. So that's something that happens. Again. Jesus. But yes, so the game kind of misses one of the, in my opinion, essential consideration or aspects of most survival titles, which is ammo conservation. Which just isn't really a thing in this game. Which just makes it very strange. to some degree. Because the focus is quite clearly much stronger on the aspect. Yeah? It absolutely is. But at the same time, it doesn't really play into it. It doesn't quite commit. Yeah? It's like halfway there. It says that, yeah, we like the kind of more focus on horror aspect, and we want to kind of pursue it, but we also kind of don't want to ever limit the player in way of ammunition. Which just doesn't really work, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses of this game. It's like they kind of wanted to make a horror survival game, but they also were a bit afraid of actually making a horror survival game and moving too far away from the action shooter that the Doom 1 and 2 was. And as such, just kind of went halfways and half-assed it to some degree. I guess it's not half-assing it really, it's more just not maybe being quite confident enough. And going all the way. Which I think... I believe it would have been... Ouch. Let's just try this once more. I think it would have been preferable, and I think it would have been positive for the game. If they would have done so. I think it would have been positive to just go full in for survival horror if that's what you want to do. You know, and if it's not, then you shouldn't have just kind of went halfway. Either go full on or don't go that path to begin with. Yeah. Either you go full in and actually like create something like a first-person Dead Space, essentially, right? Or you do something as they did with Doom 2016. Where you are a super badass demon slayer, you know? And in this one, you kind of go for neither. Which I don't think is particularly advisable, frankly. You have to commit to one or the other. You have to commit to your design. You can't back off or back out in the middle of it. You really, I don't think you can. I do not believe that's a very good idea. Let's swap to something that can actually aim. Hello? There we go. Reload all my weapons. That said though, I don't hate the game. It's still a decent amount of fun. It's reasonably challenging, even though the idea of ammo conservation isn't really a thing. It's still kind of... You can still certainly die, obviously, as you've seen. That's not to say that I am particularly concentrated right now, because I'm trying to speak at the same time, but at the same time, you know, it's not incredibly easy. It's not ludicrously easy, and obviously this is not the highest difficulty, although they have locked the highest difficulty behind a completion wall, which I don't necessarily think is particularly advisable, but you know, certain games do that. It's not something that's completely new. Honestly, playing, there you go. I'm clicking all over the place here, apparently. Good for me, I didn't fall down all the way. Alright. Graphically, the game is certainly dated. I have to say, it kind of just reminds me of really early CGI or middle of the road CGI. Not necessarily awful CGI, but budget. What? Is that a word? Budget CGI. You know, it kind of reminds me like the Star Wars Clone Wars, that like cartoon series of the Star Wars series. It kind of reminds me of that, which is kind of weird. There's very few games that looks like this. I don't know if I can say it's aged well, but due to the fact that it's so kind of unique, it still has its charm to some degree, I guess. It doesn't look good. I don't think it looks good. I don't particularly like it, I guess. Not really. But it's still somewhat charming by the fact that it's just kind of unique. Okay, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not even gonna comment, frankly. No. Not even.
This is the audio log of plant manager Henry Nelson, dated October 24th, 2145.
651.
I don't know how I should report this, so I'll just talk about what I know.
The voice acting is pretty decent though. I actually kind of
I
like
had quite a few employees reporting to me that they've heard strange sounds.
I rather like the voice acting in this game. I find it to be rather decent. It sounds natural.
At first, I didn't believe them.
It doesn't sound overdone. I'm just gonna let you listen to the rest of this dialogue here.
I ignored the stories at first, until one day, I heard something too. I was working on one of the lift up service panels. Distinctly heard the voice of someone say, "Over here." I quickly turned to see who was there, but the passage was completely empty. I looked around, but I didn't see another soul. I even checked the work logs, and no one else was working in that area. I don't want to sound crazy here, but my guys and myself are a little scared. Some of the guys were even talking about ghosts. So, to make everyone, including myself, feel a little more comfortable, I'd like to request that the security team make a thorough check of the EFR area. Thank you. Henry Nelson.
Yeah. I don't know, I can't... Sometimes it's kind of nice with voice acting that doesn't over-dramatize everything, you know? It certainly isn't overacting. Some might say, like, oh, it's emotionless, you know? I don't know. I'm fine with it, honestly. I rather like it. It honestly feels much more natural than when you overact, as far as I'm concerned. I prefer when it's toned down as opposed to exaggerated, for the most part. But that will depend a little bit on what game it is, of course, as well. Like, if it's a full-on blown horror game, then maybe you do want some exaggeration. But it's very, very fine line to straddle there, though, I have to say. Because if you do really exaggerated bullshit when you do horror, obviously it's not gonna be scary. It's just gonna be silly, you know? So you do have to watch out for that, for sure. The graphics of the game as well do kind of... Well, everything kind of looks plasticky to me, which also very well might contribute a little bit to the weapons feeling a little bit less powerful. It doesn't... This shotgun does not look like a metal shotgun. It does not look like a solid piece of steel that you blast things off with. I mean, weapons aren't solid pieces of steel, I get that. If you catch my drift, I believe. It kind of looks like a, I don't know, plastic gun, which is kind of weird. Everything has this kind of plasticky feel to it. It's a bit of a combination of the kind of, I guess, shiny look of everything, as well as the relatively low detail and rather smooth edges to everything. It's kind of interesting. This game was actually kind of lauded as a technological achievement when it came out. There's a boss battle here. Let's see if I will die. Probably will. But anyway. It was kind of seen as a technological achievement when it came out. But honestly, by this point, it does kind of look silly, as far as I'm concerned. Hello. Let's use the machine gun, I guess. Reload. Please die. There we go. Good thing I saved up enough ammo to just murder her with this thing. I guess. That's it. Yep, pretty much. I guess that's the boss fight. Alright. So yeah. Sound effects, again, as with the weapons, they're fine. They're a bit meek, but you get the point. The atmospheric sound design is actually better than the weapon effects as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to the music, there isn't much music as opposed to the first two games. Firstly, a cutscene. There you go. There's a few cutscenes in this game. It's nothing excessive, but there's a few. Yeah, there isn't much music. There's not as much as it was in Doom 1 and 2. But the main menu music, though, is pretty freaking awesome. So that's pretty cool. Cinematic effects. Alright. I think that's pretty much the only thing I have to say about it. So I'm going to jump out of this game and I'm gonna show you another thing that the BFG offers, which is that it has, yes, you get some communication here as well. Let's just listen to this so you get a bit more voice acting. Alright. So yeah, Doom BFG Edition actually comes in with a couple of baked-in games, that being Doom 1 and 2, which is kind of cool. So I'm just gonna show you that as well a bit quick before we kind of wrap this up. So it will have auto-saved because I just traveled to a new area, right? So it's not gonna be a problem. Can just exit. So this is actually pretty cool because everything you have to do is just do this and change game. And there you go. Yeah, seriously, it's that easy. It's pretty cool. I actually kind of like that. It's so very, very easy and accessible, you know? You don't have to restart the game, it's not separate launchers. You literally just switch between the games. Right in here. Yeah, I like that. Let's just load this one. And there we go. Doom 2. Now, this is the original version, so it doesn't really have any of the improvements, I believe, that you get from the enhanced version that you can buy separately on the store. But I don't really mind all too much. This is still really, really cool. This is the full Doom 2 game. Yeah, this is Doom 2. You get the entire Doom 2 experience. As well as the entire Doom 1 experience as well, of course. So the entire Doom 1 and Doom 2 originals are in this game. Very, very easily accessible by just the menu. By a little interactive menu there. which is really cool. I really like that. And as you see, you see the difference in the gameplay, right? It's all about freaking strafing in this game, you know? You move so very, very fast. As compared to the Doom 3. This game, of course, also doesn't have the reload thing, which Doom 3 actually does. Doom 3 does reload. You do not reload in this game. You have no need for such trivial matters. Let's see if I can find some secrets. I guess not. Oh, onwards. Up. Interestingly enough, the Doom 1 and Doom 2 experience, as far as I'm concerned, still holds up to this day. And it's mostly because it's so unique. This does not feel like a aged FPS game because it's not barely even similar to FPS games nowadays, right? Just so very, very different in how it plays. So yeah, it's like a completely different experience almost. It's kind of interesting. The graphics are of course kind of dated, but you know what? I'm not too bothered by that. It's still decent fun, and you know what? That's what I want from a game. If the game is fun, I don't care if it doesn't look amazing, frankly. Minecraft is one of the most popular games in the world. It does not have particularly great graphics, quite frankly. So I don't think that's necessarily a requirement. Games are supposed to be fun, you know? I don't see why you have to be so incredibly obsessed with the idea of having amazing graphics. I don't think that is necessary. That's not to say I don't appreciate good graphics, of course I do. I'm a PC player, I think it's incredible what you can do with graphics nowadays. And they can be incredibly impressive, especially as a showpiece, but again, it's not what's important, right? It's cool that you can do it, sure, but it's not what's important. It can be an aspect of the game that's really cool and interesting and impressive, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, that's not why I play games. I play games to be entertained. I play games to have fun, right? So, there you go. At least that's my opinion. And why I play games. Of course, that can be different from different people, I guess. A backpack full of ammo. Yes, sounds good to me. And as you hear in the background, there's a consistent kind of music track going on. So yeah, there you go. Awesome. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Now, I don't think the Doom 1 game is gonna be particularly much of a selling point, honestly, because you can pretty much get that from anywhere. Like, you can quite literally get it just on the internet, like through a Flash game. There's quite literally a Flash port of Doom 1. I've actually played it, and it doesn't play poorly. It actually plays completely fine as well. It's kind of surprising. Yeah, by the way, let's compare the shotguns. You see this? You see the spread of this shotgun as compared to the one Doom 3? Yeah, this is just ridiculous. This one is useful. Doom 3 is crap. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, but this is just infinitely better. A double barrel shotgun as well. It's kind of nice. I like it. I really appreciate that they put this in. It's kind of a nice thing. I mean, they didn't have to do it. But the biggest kind of positive thing with this, I guess, is because of so accessible. What am I even saying? Why did my brain suddenly die? I'm gonna have to freaking. I'm gonna have to round this off soon because my brain is just starting to cease functioning. Yes, thank you. Okay. The coolest thing about it is just how incredibly accessible it is. Yes, thank you. Dear Lord, I can't speak anymore. Jesus. But yeah, it's just the very, very easy availability and the kind of convenience of just being able to access the games through the same launcher without having to switch games or whatever. Speaking of which, actually, let's see here. And here we go. Let's just do this, for example. I can easily just save. Quit. Change game. Wanna play some Doom 1 now? There we go. Now I'm in Doom 1. It's very, very, very quick and easy. I really like that. It's kind of cool. It's a nice little gesture, I think. I mean, why not, right? I think it's a cool thing. It might not be super important. You can obviously get these games in other ways. It's not difficult to acquire them. They aren't expensive. And some of them are basically just available for free on the web. Doom 1 being the main example of that. Because there's actually like a Flash adaptation of Doom. Which is kind of cool. Doom runs on basically anything. You ever heard that one? It's actually true. It runs on most things. It runs very, very well. It's very, very well optimized, actually. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here though. So yeah, this has been a quick look at Doom. Well, I guess it has been a casual retrospective of Doom 3 BFG edition, actually. I've been Dex, and maybe I'll see you next time. Farewell.